It's always the silence before the video where I'm like, how do I start this? I'm probably not gonna title this video, you know, some catchy or off the ledge kind of title, like something that took me X amount of years to realize or something like that. I don't really have a vision or goal or form that this YouTube or video diary or speaking from this space, like I don't know what this is gonna materialize into. I guess I owe y'all a little bit more of a personal insight into my life because I feel like I kind of, started dropping videos from this place of like trying to be productive and, I work out and I eat clean and I kind of made that my identity. And that I think is running its course, but I'm also somebody who have gone through swells of overthinking, have gone through lows, times where I felt like I was so alienated or so disconnected from the ones I'm supposed to be closest to. I felt like at times, no matter what level I was explaining my feelings, that no one would really get it. I felt like there were certain times where I felt so focused and purpose driven, and I know what I'm gonna do, and I'm realizing that feeling is also a coming and a going. And I find myself maybe at a time where a lot of things seem like really challenging. College has always kind of been something for me that has been a big new chapter in my life, being independent in the sense of just my space, and not being around my parents or my brother or my sister. And that comes with a whole host of challenges as well. We're tribal beings, so it's like community and connection. The older I get, the more I'm realizing how important that is in a time like this, now than ever. I feel like a lot has been going on in the world, and at a time like this, our level of humanity is so important. And I say at a time like this because with all the technology that we're able to access, it's almost like we can kind of stop the discovery of life and kind of listen to either things that echo what we already think about life or ourselves, or echo things that make us feel good or make us feel safe, something that kind of stops the natural unfolding of life. And I guess I say I owe y'all more of a personal insight into my life. As when I came to college, I was still very much attached to who I thought I was supposed to be. I was with a girl at the time, and I cared about her deeply. I also, the same girl I cared about, I self-sabotaged a lot. But say that to say that I guess something that sparked a lot of my transformation was realizing need to try and manage and run my life, and I always got to make moves, and I always got to plot, and I always got to figure stuff out. That kind of started becoming more apparent to me that's really, I feel like that's sometimes like anxiety dressing up as productivity in my life, and not only that, I found that I would self-sabotage things that a lot of people pray for or ask for. I found that in certain areas of my life, I wasn't really grateful, but that ignorance had to be had, I guess, for me to be living this more contemplative life, or, checking in with how I feel or checking in with my actions. But, I came to college with a whole host of ideas about who I am, and as I'm in my third year of college, as I've continued, I've realized life is dissolving that in front of me. And that dissolution is really painful and uncomfortable. And the tendency is to run from discomfort, and we all run in different ways. I think, sometimes I used to run through a different person. I think being in a relationship or being occupied by certain love interests would like kind of take me out of that discomfort of transformation. Or the other way, trying so hard to improve and trying so hard to be better, again, kind of was anxiety and not knowing who I am, kind of overcorrecting itself and trying to be everything, and now I'm learning to just be, and whatever wants to materialize from that beingness, I guess you could say, is what any of this is. I heard something that kind of stuck with me was, and maybe it's only on a conceptual level still, but when you allow yourself to just be and be nothing, you create space for you to be anything, or you create space for anything to come out of you. And I think that's really something really important in my life. I have a strong sense of identity of I do this and I don't do that. And I like these type of people. I don't like these type of people. But I guess what I'm realizing is that I'm not the same person I was 5 minutes ago. And I know that can seem like a stretch or over dramatic or like, what are you talking about? But I realize the nature of life is change. And I guess welcoming that change is also welcoming pain, I'm kind of being forced by life to just sit in the discomfort and allow change to unravel, and whatever that looks like. And change, I don't even think means doing more of something, Fitness has always kind of been at the core of what I find myself doing. And I kind of made an identity out of the personal will to be at a certain shape or size and then take diligent action over time and observe that change. Kind of started riding that high of like, damn, I can change things. And on some level, yeah, we can. I think holding the intention and putting things at the front of your mind is an unfolding. But I think on the deepest level, you are going to be where you need to be when you need to be there. And the process to get there looks different for everybody. It looks different from the self today that was the self 10 days ago. I feel like change and what the day calls of you is going to be different every day. I just recently had somebody I deeply cared about reach back out to me, and a lot of emotions I thought I had processed or thought I was, dealt with were really dormant, or kind of just, dormant or asleep. But when this person reached back out, a lot of those emotions started coming to the surface, good and bad. A lot of the warmth and connection came back, or felt like, I felt that again. But I also felt a lot of distance and mistrust and hurt on my end and their end. And I'll be vulnerable with you guys. I feel like since that, for the past couple of days, I've been kind of feeling a mess, feeling like, damn, I don't know what to do. And I'm kind of realizing there isn't anything to do. This is part of the process. This is part of the process of just life itself. And I'm reminded that don't take this so seriously. Don't take yourself so seriously. Don't let the wins or successes of life inflate you. And also don't take and fail triumphantly, fail loudly. Don't be afraid to fall on your face or be human. I guess it goes back to that point about our level of humanity. I think we're so afraid of being judged and afraid of messing up in front of people. So it's like we kind of hide our vices or hide our shortcomings or hide the things that we really feel. And that hiding can look like overcompensating in certain actions. I'm learning how to praise the divine but tie my camel, and I think I would overcompensate because I had a deep fear that I wouldn't be able to tie my camel on my own, so I would overcorrect and just not even try, but I'd feel like just spirituality and philosophy, I would almost lose myself in that because I was afraid. I don't know if I'll prove myself through these worldly accolades, but I've realized that these things aren't one or the other. Like, I think the contemplative life, or the life where you're in the world doing things but kind of questioning where you're at, how you're feeling, why you're doing what you're doing, is not only a daily commitment, but it's a daily calibration. And I feel like we can keep calibrating. We can keep tuning ourselves to ourselves. And I was talking to someone I consider a mentor, and I was telling him about the YouTube and the videos and how I felt as of late. I don't think I'm creating from an artful place. I think I'm creating from a place of validation or restlessness. I got to do something. But coming out here today felt very organic. It felt like, I have had a lot on my mind as of late. Just the restless nature of the mind of what is my life going to look like? What is my career going to look like? What is my relationships going to look like? Do I even want what I say I want? I think that's something that when you're sitting in the energy of lack, oftentimes it can feel like it's undeniable what you are lacking or what you do want. But being in that energy, I feel like we kind of overlook what we have and where we are. And even if what we have and where we are is a time of uncertainty or a time of discomfort, it's like somehow that's necessary to dissolve and evolve you to who you need to be. And it's going to happen regardless. It's more like, can I learn to bear that and dance with that rather than be in such resistance? I think a lot of my overthinking and getting lost in thought comes from, I feel as though things should be a certain way. And when they don't end up being that way, I can get upset, or I can feel like, damn, this should have been like this, or this could have been like this. But again, that's pulling me out of the present moment and getting me back into the mind. So a term that somebody used with me that kind of reinvigorated this sense of listening to inside was, what makes you feel alive? What makes you feel bliss? And initially when I was asked that question, I was trying to answer it on a gross level, like, I like lifting, I like this, I like that. But when I really sat and I was thinking, I was like, well, these are, I think, just lifestyle things that I've picked up, and I've realized I want to feel healthy. So what does that look like? Movement, resistance training, using what I want to stay healthy. But whoa, that's a big wasp. Hold on. Whoa, sir. Okay. But I also realized that those are things I'm doing or I've become apt at or become good at. But I'm learning that I don't even want to say the contemplation, because that sounds like a lot of mind force behind it, but just being isn't something you can do. How can we try to stop trying? How can you try to tell someone to surrender or to have faith or to have trust when you can't see or feel maybe in that particular moment that things will get better, yet we still have this underlying trust in life that things will get better, and then things will get worse, and then things get better again, and then it's like, damn, this is the cyclical play of life. And I'm getting to a point where I'm tired of fighting that cyclical nature. I'm tired of trying to control things and trying to manage what season of life I'm in or who I'm with or what I'm doing or how things are going to play out. I just want to show up fully, and sometimes even showing up is so difficult. We have the instructions to how to get to where we want to get to, where our soul wants to get to. And let me be clear, not just our mental projections of what we think our ego might want to satiate us for a time. No, I think we have the instructions to our own destiny, but those were given by that which created us, and it's all inside of us. And it's so difficult to follow that when we're so externally tuned to what do you have, what have you achieved, what do you look like, what do you sound like, who do you talk about. Even in myself, I look to confirm my experience in those around me, and I'm tired of doing that. Even though there's a propensity and a tendency to do that, it's a sign of, undergoing change. I just wanted to put into language what I was feeling today. And I feel like that in itself is pretty artful and relieving and feels better. So yeah, take care of yourself. If you exist, you're supposed to exist. There's space for everybody here. And I know it can feel like sometimes that's not the case, but I don't think anyone's here on accident. I think life is experiencing itself through each other. And learning how to dance and play with that is the unfolding, I guess, is what I'm interested in.